Welcome to Fresh Perspectives, a series with professionals who have insights. And today we sure as heck have insights. I'm with Lisa McGuire, who is based in Atlanta, Georgia. Lisa is a personal brand strategist, but very interestingly, a bit like the work that I do, it's an approach thoroughly based on identity. Lisa, welcome to Fresh Perspectives.
Well, John, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about today's discussion.
Me too. Let's go straight to one of the insights that really fascinated me. In our earlier conversation, we were talking about how people build their brand. And you mentioned that there were three stories that people were commonly stuck in. Tell us more about the three stories.
Yes, isn't it interesting how so many things come in threes, but three stories that we use as we're trying to develop our identity or our personal brand. I really stumbled onto these as I was trying to do it myself. So there are the stories we tell the world, there are the stories we tell ourselves, and there's the stories buried inside of our soul. Now, if I can unpack those a bit, the stories we tell the world, that's what we put out online. That's what we want our neighbors to think. That's how we show up as work. What are the things we want people to know about us? And sometimes we may stretch those a bit, right? We may stretch those a lot. You know, the car you drive, where you vacation, the credentials you have on your resume. All of those things, we position ourselves so other people will know us, like us, trust us, want to hire us, want to be around us, right? We want to attract those people. Sometimes people will even go as far as to rent a luxury car or an Airbnb on the beach, and bring in a film crew and all of that. So that's the stories we tell the world.
And
The
I guess
problem with
that's Oh, sorry, Lisa. I guess that's the area that is historically linked with personal branding. It's very much
Yes.
about the story we tell the world.
Yes, it
Now,
is. And I think with personal branding, people have this image of I've got to be an influencer, a social media influencer. I have to be in that. But here's the thing. We all have this personal brand. We all have this identity. We have this reputation. So that's the first story. The second story is the stories we tell ourselves. Now, we all know what those are. Those are the voices inside of our head. That's the one that wakes us up in the middle of the night and tells you, why did you do that? It's very critical of ourselves. It's the story that tells us, for me, when I first discovered it, it was very much about, you can't turn this in until it's perfect. Nobody's going to want to hire you until you are doing things perfect.
right.
Excuse me.
And I guess this is where imposter syndrome lives lives and thrives in this space. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And other stories you could be telling yourself is, I need to be in control of the situation so I can feel safe. Or if I do things for other people, then they're going to like me. So there's a number of these stories that really come in and impact how you show up to the world, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third story is the
Just
story. Oh, yeah, go
just
ahead.
before we do the third, Lisa, what would be a common way in which the second story might be influencing the first story?
Oh, very much. So I'm just thinking about, I'm thinking about one of the stories we tell ourselves and you'll resonate with this, John, is the more we do, the more valuable we're going to be to people. The more valuable we're going to be to ourselves. So that hyperachiever that shows up, that makes us continue to push, that causes the workaholism that we have, that long to-do list that is never done, it impacts how we show up to others, where people feel like, I can't keep up with you. Or
Wow.
if you're someone who is in that realm and you answer emails at 2 a.m. in the morning, what are your employees thinking? What are the
Wow.
people around you thinking? So, yes, it definitely impacts that first story.
Great example. Great example. Thank you. And
Yes.
the third story.
Yes. The third story is a story buried inside of our soul. And this is one that just hits my heart so strongly, John. It is one I have chased since I was 10 years old. I've always been about asking, what am I doing here? And what am I supposed to do while I'm here? Like, why now? Why am I here? The story buried inside of your soul is the story that you came into the world with. And it's tied in with your natural talents and gifts, what you were wired to do.
Hmm.
What I find so fascinating is some of those stories are conditioned out of us by our parents, by our teachers, by our society, by the people in your community that says this is how you have to act and this is how you have to behave. And so it
Yeah.
really starts, you can see why we're confused with those three stories.
Absolutely. I know you do lots of coaching and development work. What would be an example of that third story coming from the lives of your clients and the people you've worked with?
Yeah, so it's really very interesting. I had a client one time, and she was in transition. She was looking at, she had been doing a a service for people. So what she did is she went into flea markets or rummage sales, and she would find things and purchase them and bring them back to a booth and sell them on her own. So she repurposed things. And what was so fascinating as she was moving out of this career into something else, she wasn't really sure what she was supposed to do. But what we did through a series of questions and answers and exploration, we found out that her whole life has been about finding the value in things and bringing it out and sharing the beauty with others.
Wow.
Whether it was working with people, whether it was material things, she loved seeing the beauty in things and sharing it with others.
Superb. And you know what's so beautiful about that, Lisa, is it ain't about her at all.
No,
It's
it
about
isn't.
seeing the beauty in things and sharing that with others. Amazing. Looking ahead a little bit into the future that's either coming or already here, depending on which world you inhabit. Obviously, I'm thinking of digitalization, AI, and all of the society and economic changes around that. What's the relevance of this type of work to somebody who's contemplating those changes?
You know, the time is right. The future of marketing, the future of presenting ourselves is developing that identity and personal brand. Because what we're seeing more and more now, John, is content that appears, white papers. We really don't know if that's a person behind it, or is
Mm-hmm.
it something that came through with this new emergence that we have of
Yep.
artificial intelligence.
Yep. Yep.
So making sure that we show up where people know it's actually you, that is
Mm.
really
Mm.
important. It's
Yeah.
really important.
And an increasing challenge by the looks of things
Yes, it
in the
is.
future we're sailing into.
Yes. And I will also mention as we move into this new era, people are looking for who are they doing business with? People do business with people. And if my concern is my health, my wealth, or the viability of my business, I'm not going to trust that to just anyone. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know someone is going to align with my values and how I think, because I'm not going to hand my finances or health or my business over to just anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can see a whole scale. Is it wholesale or whole scale? I never know. We can see a wholesale revaluation going on of trust. in the context of this AI world. Lisa, thanks ever so much for joining me from Atlanta, Georgia today. It was a real pleasure to share insights with you, and look forward to keeping in contact via Fresh Perspectives.
Thanks so much for having me, John.
Bye for now.